The US versus China, Donald Trump versus Xi Jinping. A battle is on the horizon, a fight for trade dominance. You know about the opening moves. We've told you about how Trump is planning to impose tariffs on Chinese goods. They may start at 10% and go as high as 60%, maybe even higher if Donald Trump deems it necessary. Xi Jinping has been planning his defense strategy. Yesterday, we talked about China stopping mineral exports, how Beijing plans to weaponize export controls and use this as a bargaining chip. Now, amid all of this talk of trade war, a new report has come out, one that seemingly goes against this narrative. Donald Trump has apparently invited Xi Jinping to his inauguration. Trump will be sworn in on the 20th of January. There are about 40 days to go. And he seems to want Xi Jinping as a guest for this event. Trump reportedly invited Xi in early November. They spoke shortly after Trump won the election, and it seems that is when Xi Jinping was invited. Now, this is quite unusual for a number of reasons. Traditionally, a US presidential inauguration is a domestic affair. Americans gather to watch their new leader being sworn in. You have the supporters, you have government officials, and living former presidents in attendance. You don't see foreign leaders in such inaugurations. At most, you'll have the ambassadors of foreign nations in the crowd. That's it. That is the tradition, and it has been this way since 1874. That's as far back as the records go. 150 years. But it seems Donald Trump plans to break this tradition. And don't get me wrong, Trump doesn't seem to be doing this exclusively for Xi Jinping. It seems Hungary's Prime Minister Viktor Orbán has been invited as well. Reports say that Orbán is considering flying down. And don't be surprised if that happens. Trump and Orbán share close ties. Orbán was in the US to meet Trump just this week. So he could easily fly over again in January. A lot of other leaders could. But these are mostly Trump's friends. Xi Jinping is a different case altogether. Trump and Xi look set to begin a harrowing trade war, a conflict that could reshape global supply lines. It was a major pitch during Donald Trump's presidential campaign, and we know that Xi Jinping is taking it seriously. So then why is Trump calling him? Perhaps it's the old adage, keep your friends close and your enemies closer. Or it could just be an act of courtesy, like opposing teams shaking hands before a cricket or football match. It doesn't mean the trade war has been called off. And whether Xi accepts this invite is another matter altogether. Xi Jinping has been invited to inaugurations in the past. He has always declined to go personally. Instead, he sends special envoys. And that makes it even more unlikely. In this case, also there are just 40 days left. It takes time to organize a Chinese presidential trip to the US. There is protocol. Security arrangements need to be made. It's not something that can happen off the cuff. So it is highly unlikely that Xi Jinping will attend Donald Trump's inauguration. And that also highlights another point. Like we said, Trump may have invited him back in November. And we've seen the developments since then. Nothing has changed. The dynamics have not changed. Both sides have made statements about tariffs since then. China continues to try and build its defense. So clearly, the inauguration invite won't stop the impending trade war.